turning to another question that is trending on Slido, and I think it came from Bill or one of his colleagues at the International Computing Center here in New York, and it's picking up on your comment early on that often innovation is associated with technology, and technology that makes us think that innovation should be done by men, and that you're struggling to engage women. And a team from the ICC is asking, have you achieved gender parity in your project? So is that something that you're aspiring to do? And how do you encourage more female-led innovation in as part of the service?
Yeah, so great question. We've done this in a lot of different ways. So when it comes to the fellowship, we do look at having different gender parity, but we also look at parity, for example, from a local staff versus international staff. So when we think about diversity and inclusion, we're not just thinking about gender, but we do think it is a very important aspect of sort of this mythology around innovation being accessible to different communities. We've actually gone well out of our way to understand how we can change the way that we're talking about innovation. Last year, my colleague Rebecca and I did this little experiment on the communication materials that we had been developing. And what we found is that when we were writing stories about innovation, that in the majority of them, it was men being quoted. And often it was men who were writing the stories. And so one of the things that we also wanted to do when thinking about trying to make innovation accessible to women was to question, all right, what are we doing wrong right now? Why is innovation not as accessible for people in our organization who are women specifically? And so we saw that the stories that we were telling and the voices that we were capturing, the people we were interviewing, were actually much more heavily male voices than female voices. So we've worked heavily to actually really shift that ratio in the communications products that we're creating. Additionally, we saw that it was in 2016, only 25% of the people who applied to the Innovation Fellowship were women. And that was a big wake-up call for us. So we've gone out of our way to form a very close relationship with with Caroline Harper, who I quoted earlier, who is our special advisor for gender inclusion and equity at UNHCR. And we've actually done a number of projects with her, specifically on innovation and innovative ways to think about inclusivity within the organization. And we've been really lucky to have her as a main ally in trying to push forward this diversity and inclusion approach to the way that we're thinking about innovation in the organization. And I'd be happy to share with you guys more information around some of those projects that we've been working hand in hand with her on.
Thank you, Lauren. It's a big topic in the Innovation Network at the moment, how to encourage more female-led innovations. I know you and Women in UNICEF have also launched a new conversation series, or like a training on how to incentivize that. So maybe we should all get together and think about how we can approach this.